I tend to find Affinity pretty technically competent.
For those of you who didn't hear, he was also on my show. I don't know if you would use the word competent to describe that interview, but anyway.
Dominic's got like really great stuff on things like threshold signatures and distributed key generation. Like he does Divinity does really contribute to the leading edge of the space, and that's something that I really respect.
When I was learning about like the beacon chain and all that, I was like, oh, this sounds like Divinity.
Yeah.
So I think
although I think Dominic and I, we don't really use the word competitor. We use the possibly euphemism, possibly an aspirational term, sister network.
Okay.
You there, second desk, blue jacket. What is your name?
My name is Alexis.
Alexis, please leave my lecture room. I don't want to see you at one of my lectures ever again.
I don't understand.
I am not going to ask a second time. Thank you. Why are there laws? What are laws for? Anyone?
Social order?
To protect the person's personal rights.
So that you can rely on the government?
Justice? Thank you. Tell me, was I unfair to your classmate just now? Indeed I was. So, why didn't any of you protest? Why didn't any of you try and stop me? Why didn't you want to prevent this injustice? You see, what you have just learnt, you wouldn't have understood in 1,000 hours of lectures unless you lived it. You didn't say anything because you weren't affected yourself. And this attitude speaks against you and against life. You think it doesn't concern you, so it's none of your business. Well, I'm here to say, if you don't help bring about justice, then one day you too may experience injustice, and there will be nobody there to stand before you.
Jamie Dimon says Bitcoin is a fraud. He says he'll fire any one of his traders buying Bitcoin. Bitcoin drops 24%. When Jamie Dimon speaks, people listen. People listen. So that weekend, we found out that the largest buyer of a Bitcoin fund that's in Europe that buys physical Bitcoin, right? The largest buyer was Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan. And that's not illegal.
He says it's a fraud.
It says it's by anyone that buys it. Yes.
And at the same time, his company is buying it.
His company is buying it.
It's just, so unethical.
Right.
That's when I really dove into the inner workings of the internet computer, courtesy of Definity. What brought me into the ICP spectrum was Definity's first marketing campaign. To be such a small project, 2020, 2021, their marketing was top notch. So it always stayed in the radar. But what initially pulled me, well, after that, not initially, what pulled me in next from the technology side was their ability to introduce smart contracts to Bitcoin. I heard about this early 2022, and at that time, only 3 years into the space, that was unheard of. No one else was bringing utility to Bitcoin in this manner. So again, the proper marketing, the utility aspect, ICP always stayed on my radar. But since you have dropped that back in the chat, and I've gone and taken a second look, third, fourth, I forgot how many times now. But taking another look at the ICP network, I like the updates. Starting with Chain Fusion, they have just introduced Solana. But this Chain Fusion appears to be the ultimate, the final form of their initial work towards bringing smart contracts to Bitcoin. I can simplify ICP's technical makeup like this. They have developed a way to compartmentalize smart contracts into these capsules or canisters. All right, digital canisters. These digital canisters are interoperable. Various networks can use them. And Chain Fusion is essentially the production factory for these canisters. Again, these canisters got smart contracts, APIs, fully customizable, all of these things. So now what they're doing with the Chain Fusion, they're bringing smart contracts, cross-chain smart contracts to not just Bitcoin now, but it's been extended to Ethereum. And most recently, Solana has joined the fold. And this month, it officially went live. So this is definitely an interoperability play. If you want to get into internet computer, you're definitely getting into the infrastructure game, because that's what ICP does. It supports other networks. They focus on other things, but their key discipline is building out interoperable smart contracts, which is truly genius when you think about it. I'll give you a comparison. The Flare network creates smart contracts for chains who can't do it themselves. ICP is taking the smart contract itself and making it universal. So if you were to compare the two, where Flare is feeding fish, ICP is giving fishing rods. This is Dominic Williams, as it says there. He created ICP.
Internet vision is that you can talk to the internet to create new functionality in the form of apps and services that appear on a URL. Nearly everyone in their personal lives at some point or another is going to be creating sovereign apps on platforms like the internet computer. And then they're going to do it just by talking to AI. Self-writing is a different paradigm to vibe coding. The AI is helping write some of your boilerplate code, helping you fix typos and a few bugs. But really, vibe coding is a paradigm for software engineers. Self-writing is a different paradigm where anybody can create without having any technical skills at all. Quite literally, talk to the AI and your functionality appears on the internet, which is obviously completely revolutionary. Internet Computer 2.0 incorporates functionality that makes self-writing possible. We have a new programming language designed for use by AI that enables it to create far more sophisticated apps and services without assistance than would otherwise be possible. You will often be upgrading your apps and services every few minutes, even on a cycle in the tens of seconds. You'll literally be saying, hey, I want this feature, and you'll see it appear on the URL.
So, Dominic, you're telling me that this kid here from the east side of Detroit will soon be able to develop his own blockchain application on internet computer? That's going to change the game, folks. And a recurring theme in this episode has been the importance of core development. Here are the numbers for revenue, courtesy of Token Terminal. Now, why do I bring that up in relation to core development? Because clearly there is a connection between the amount of core developers and the rate of adoption for these digital assets. And thank God for Token Terminal for beginning to condense this information for us, because it's truly changing my investing perspective. It really is, especially numbers like this. Let's take a look. We're looking at internet computers revenue for the last year. They've made $14 million. Explains why that set was so nice behind him. $14 million in the last year. And when you look at revenue for layer 1 blockchains, they rank 5th across the entire industry. If this is the revenue being generated on their core developers, and now ICP is getting ready to open that up to the entire world in a chat GPT type revolution, imagine what this revenue is going to look like. Because I can also assume here that when these apps get built, they're going to be driving revenue, and they're going to drive revenue back to internet computer. I'm definitely keeping my eyes on the internet computer, guys. But another thing I'll be keeping my eyes on are data points like this, courtesy of Token Terminal, because I believe now that revenue driving applications are no longer a feature, but a standard. And speculative price pumps won't last in this next era of blockchain.
It's not the company, and the company is not the stock. And so as I watched the stock fall from 113 to 6, I was also watching all of our internal business metrics, number of customers, profit per unit, everything you can imagine, defects, etc. Every single thing about the business was getting better and fast. And so as the stock price was going the wrong way, everything inside the company was going the right way. And we didn't need to go back to the capital markets. We didn't need more money. The only reason, a financial bust like the internet bubble bursting makes it really hard to raise money. But, we already had the money we needed. So we just needed to continue to progress.
But NFTs, the funny thing is that the NFT is not even on the blockchain. It's just a URL to the JPEG. So it's not even it's like you should at least encode the JPEG in the blockchain. Because if the company housing the image goes out of business, you don't have the image anymore.
Found out something crazy. I thought by buying an NFT on a blockchain, I was actually the owner of the picture, NFTs and crypto are not actually saved on the blockchain. So what the hell are you then actually having ownership over? I don't understand. All NFTs actually are is a piece of code that tells you this wallet owns number 421 out of the Big Dicked Ape collection. But the actual piece of art, the image, the part about an NFT that has value, the art itself, it is stored on some centralized server of the blockchain. If I buy an NFT, I want to be the owner of the piece of art, literally the image. But the reality is most blockchains are not capable of storing images on the blockchains. They are technically incomparable. Wow, there is one outsider though. This blockchain is designed to store. This blockchain has smart contracts that can hold up to 500 gigabytes of data. This blockchain can run AI models, websites, and applications 100% on the blockchain. And it's actually unique in this sense because no other blockchain can do these things. I know they claim they can, but they do actually not. Do you know which blockchain I'm talking about? Drop it in the comments. I give you 5 seconds. So the project I was talking about is the Internet Computer Protocol, ICP. I know, you think it's a scam. It's probably the least scammy blockchain in the whole entire space. Wow! Trust me, you have to look into it.